Goodness gracious. I'm resident of College for YouTube. I'm joined by my buddy Patrick McCray, my buddy Alan Gallant, my buddy Daniel Culver.
Am I?
Uh, we are here to review the movie in Lake Flint, directed by Gordon Douglas, written by.
And we know how well you get along with things named Gordon.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
Patrick's on a roll tonight.
Written by Hal Finberg, produced by Sal David, starring James Coburn, Lee J. Cobb, Gene Hal, Andrew Dugan. Cinematographer is William H. Daniels. Edited by U.S. Fowler. Music by Jerry Goldsmith.
Jerry's back.
Yeah, Jerry's back. Production company, Sal David Productions. Distributed by 20th Century Fox. This was released back in March 15th, 1967. Budget was $3,007,775. $11 million. Holy fuck.
That's not bad. And they bumped the budget a little bit, probably because Coburn wanted a little more money the second time around.
He got it.
I think he got it anyway. But yeah.
Well, here's the thing too. A lot of this movie does, though. Yeah, it centers around Flint again, but Lee J. Cobb is in this one a lot heavier. It feels like, or am I just?
He is, and you've also got this whole. Of course, because it's the 60s and they're in direct competition with the Matt Helm series at this point, you've got this whole bunch of these women operatives on this fantasy island type situation as well. And you've got Andrew Duggan playing both the President of the United States and Sebastian, the actor who has been surgically enhanced to resemble the president and take his place. So that's kind of an interesting twist as well.
Oh, that's true. So was it 11 million then, or like counting inflation was? Oh, okay.
Yeah, $67. Yeah, 1967.
They got a lot of money for this movie.
Decent bucks for the outlay of money. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's one for you guys. Do you think Disney will ever do the Flint movies or no?
Probably not.
I don't think so. No. They might do something similar, but it would be tailored to their tastes, obviously. Disney has a certain thing they enjoy in terms of style, in terms of parameters, and all of that. Although they made some pretty gritty movies too, but that's usually under the aegis of one of their other production companies. So,
when did you guys first see In Lake Flint, Alan?
I saw this one. Oh Lord, 70s, sometime in the 70s. Either late 70s probably, because it would have been either local television if it was part of a syndication package or a videotape.
Smacks of late 70s HBO.
When
it was on like 90 minutes a day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but we didn't have HBO at that point in time, so I may have seen it on videotape. I know I was really interested in it because at that point I had sort of seen a lot of James Bond and some other good stuff, and was kind of interested in that genre.
Yeah. Patrick, when did you first see this movie?
It's very unclear. Like really consciously saw it probably late 80s. I'm gonna say when I sort of got into this. For me, the gateway cocktail was Matt Helm.
Yeah.
And I got into a lot of this stuff, a lot of that culture through Matt Helm. I mean, I always sort of had an interest in it because I got involved in the Rat Pack fan scene around that time. And And of course, it was wonderful. And I think when you're my age and Alan's age, especially because of TV being real honest to God TV,
Yeah.
no
And lots of
peripherals.
yeah.
Yeah, no peripherals.
Yeah, and the whole thing is it was a lot more limited back then, but the programming tended to be a little bit richer
Oh yeah,
because of that, because
yeah. Well, you had program directors
you know,
who picked this stuff, but where I was going with that was there was a lot more channel. There's more channel surfing of fewer channels. You would channel surf 5 channels.
yeah,
And so whatever you got was really dense, and was but it was limited. Bad Magazine used to do parodies of this. It was limited enough that it actually told kind of a weird postmodern story
yes,
on its own. Just basically 5 scenes that you were cutting back and forth between. Anyway, it was back then because it was certainly one of the 5, and I think it was this movie, which is, I think. It's not a great movie. I'm just gonna say it. It's not
no,
a great
it's
of
flawed.
this type of genre.
Yes,
It's not. It boy? It makes the first one. It makes you really appreciate how good the first one is as a film. But but as an unapologized for slice of the zeitgeist of the sort of assumptions back then, even the assumptions of being a forward-thinking man.
yes, yes, which I mean, again,
It's so very
I think it's okay to indulge in some presentism in order to compare, in
Pardon?
terms of this,
You have to do what to who where?
I say I think it's okay to indulge in some presentism in order to compare.
Yes, and I'll tell you one of the reasons is that things changed so soon after this movie was made.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would not have gotten away with this film just 5 years later.
No, and actually, even by the next year, 1968 was a real explosion of a lot of things. People got more serious about stuff. Things got darker. There was a lot going on in the world. But yeah, within 5 years for sure, because then you've got the Equal Rights Amendment that's being touted, and women are literally burning their bras, and while men are still burning their draft cards as the draft starts to get close to ending. Yeah, exactly. This is fluff, and it's a socially acceptable misogyny and patriarchy and all of that stuff at that time.
Yeah, and I love that about it because it gives it a uniqueness of perspective, unapologetically, that you're not going to get anywhere else. And it's not the sort of unapologetic uniqueness that you get with something like, an Al Jolson movie.
No,
which is just like, I can't believe they're making this.
Yeah.
This is just it certainly isn't that.
No,
because the Jolson movie has no interest in progressiveness whatsoever.
No, and it has no interest in including the other side in the joke or the story or anything. This movie actually includes, that sort of the focus of that patriarchy and portrays them, at least for a while, as revolting against it.
Although with Lee J. Cobb, with Mr. Kramer, we do get the equivalent of trying to pass as something you're not.
Yes, exactly. It's like, yeah. It's like we get the equivalent of the older guy embarrassing himself with a woman who's going to use the crap out of him.
Well, not just that, but then he's in drag for part of the movie.
Yes, he is. He is. That's right. He does that whole, when they go on to the island, as I refer to it, as the pre-code fantasy island.
That is legitimately, without making hay, that is legitimately one of the wittiest, funniest things in the movie, is that that's Kramer's first go-to.
Yeah.
Is this very ostentatious and elaborate drag
Yes.
that you can tell he's thought a lot about, because he goes right into it.
Right.
He does not waste time. And it tells me this man's emotional scars are deep.
Very deep.
They're
Yeah.
deep. Something really
Yeah.
bad happened to Mr. Kramer back in the war. You know, a Matahari situation or
Yeah.
something.
Something. He was forced to
It might have been his
do
own mother.
things against
You know,
will.
I'm sure he looked just like his mom.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. A little psycho.
A little something. Yeah.
Daniel, when did you first see this movie?
Today, actually.
Right, there you go.
And yeah, like yeah, I wasn't, alive when you guys saw it, to be honest. You know.
It's cool to see things with new eyes, though. It's really, it's
Yeah, it is.
It's very valuable.
Oh yeah, that's true. And actually, one thing you brought up, Alan, that is interesting, is you brought up how, like, like there was people burning bras and like ripping up draft tickets. What's
Yep.
weird is I saw an article that's tried to say the the bra burning thing isn't true, but then I saw people in the comment section say they knew people who did it. So
It was done in protest. It wasn't necessarily done casually by women, but it was done at protests. Yeah.
And Daniel, they did take them off.
Yeah.
Before they set them on fire.
They certainly did.
Oh yeah,
and they left them off for a number of years, I might add. They did leave them off for a number of years.
Oh God.
I refer you to the cover of Carly Simon's album No Secrets.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I could see that. I also heard Al Jolson actually did support, like, black actors having the same rights, too.
I'm sure he did, but he was also of that generation that did a lot of minstrel shows and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, he supported them while also becoming the #1 star in the world.
Wearing blackface. Yeah.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Al Jolson used to do blackface. That's why we're mentioning that.
Yes. Probably the most accessible version of that is the film The Jazz Singer for people today, if they wanted to look at that film to see what that kind of impact was back in 1930, 2029, 30.
It's not the most eye-popping. If you want to have a politically correct evening, don't look up a movie called Wunderbar.
Oh no!
And don't look up the words "going to heaven on a mule." Don't do it. You will wonder what you ate. You will think you've both gone to hell and are hallucinating.
Yes. You will think you have eaten the wrong mushroom or the right mushroom.
Although the funny thing is, given a lot of the props and given my own personal tastes and things, it actually resembles what heaven would probably be for me in a lot of ways. Not with the blackface,
right?
But with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I can get behind that. I like that machine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Joel, you're very strangely nostalgic there, like you're remembering the good old days. I don't think that's what you're doing.
Well, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I found the picture of the album. So,
No Secrets.
What?
Yeah. He's looking at Carly Simon's No Secrets.
Yeah.
Wearing a prop.
If you can't see it here, I'll send it on Messenger later.
Why did you have a problem with Ryan Seacrest?
Doesn't everybody? I have a problem with Ryan Seacrest.
Well, yeah,
I have to know who Ryan
Seacrest
is to have a problem.
Ryan Seacrest was sort of has been the heir apparent to Dick Clark.
I know.
In terms of producing shows and being host of shows and doing all that stuff. He actually studied at the feet of the master. And he was kind of in an advantageous position when Dick had his stroke. Mm-hmm. So I don't like Seacrest. I think he's something of a misogynist, and he's also extremely insincere. Whereas I thought Dick Clark at least could pull off sincerity, whether he was sincere or not. At least
I think Dick was fascinated by everything.
Yeah.
I really do. I think there was something you know, he was like one of those Bob Crane style talk show hosts,
Yeah,
you know, of that era. I think
yeah,
somehow, like Merv, he really was kind of found a way to be interested in all of this stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think he would have had to have been because I mean, especially with his initial shows, he was dealing with teenagers all the time, you know, and he was an adult man. I mean, he was in his 30s when he started it, so or late 20s when he started it in Philadelphia, and his 30s when it went national.
Joel, that picture you sent, was that supposed to be an album cover?
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Cool. So some production here. Coburn's fee for the film was $500,000 plus a percentage for the profits. Filming took place in September of 1966 in Hollywood and on location in Jamaica. Coburn later said Gordon Douglas really didn't direct the film, saying Robert Buzz Henry, Coburn's stunt double and stunt arranger on the film, the director photographer William H. Daniels, and myself were really responsible for the film. But that was the fun of it. Gordon Douglas was ill or had a heart problem or some damn thing anyway.
So they basically took.
Is that what he says, or some damn thing anyway?
Yeah, that's in the wiki.
So, in other words, it could have been a case of semi-lethal constipation. We don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, he would come on the set and say, "What are we doing?" Was wonderful, and so on. Then he would often leave the set. Still, it was fun. We had a great group of team players. So that's big. Locations. Okay. Whereas in our man Flint, Derek lives in the San Remo in Manhattan. In like Flint, he lives in Wilshire region in Los Angeles. However, the skyline projected out the window is of Manhattan.
Yes.
So, with the Dumont building visible in the background, the fabulous Face Spa in the Virgin Island is represented by the Round Hill Hotel in Montego Bay, Jamaica.
Montego Bay.
There's some deleted scenes on this, and some dialogue was removed after the previous previews that created a dispute between Sal David Gordon and 20th Century Fox.
What was that? What was the dialogue?
I don't know, but when Flint debates the fallacy of the women's plans, he states, "I'm sure all your facts are accurate, but like any other underdog in the world, you know more about the sickness than you do the cure." I think this is what they're referring to. You propose merely turns the coin over. It's the same old coin. If it's a slug on one side, girls, it's a slug on the other. Now forget it. This was cut to just forget about it. Forget it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if they thought it was too philosophically anathema for women, even then.
Yeah, but that's very thoughtful.
It is thoughtful, but it's also stating something out instead of just having a sort of attitude about it.
You know, and Alan, let me ask you something about that, because that's the sort of thing that we kind of receive a package of beliefs.
Yes.
When we enter these things, and it's sort of like, oh, there's your soap, your shampoo, your comb, and your zeitgeist, and sometimes I wonder if we are a little too all accepting of some of those things, rather than maybe going a little deeper to come up with a more precise definition of when and why these things are bad. So coming out and talking about what you believe, generally not done unless you're Patty Chayefsky.
Yeah, right. I think ultimately the reason it was cut was because somebody had a bit of anxiety about it and decided that it might cost them money. I think ultimately, but what
Cowards.
the anxiety was, that's the thing, you know, why.
The cowards.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's why people like, Mel Brooks said, you Philistines are not changing my film here, or
Yeah.
David Lynch's film.
Because I think that's a very, very, very challenging point.
And it's very specific, too. I mean, you're right about that. It's very specific. So, yeah.
I mean, considering Flint gave really nice, good monologues in the original film, I can't see why it was cut. I mean, there's nothing offensive there, in my opinion.
Right.
Well,
That's why we think maybe a suit decided something was off about it.
Yeah. Daniel, what do you think, man?
About what again?
Oh, sorry, hold on. So there was some dialogue that was removed after the previews that created a dispute between Sal David and 20th Century Fox. When Flint debates the fallacy of the women's plans, he states, "I'm sure all your facts are accurate, but like any other underdog in this world, you know more about the sickness than you do the cure. What you propose merely turns the coin over. It's the same old coin. If it's a slug on one side, girls, it's a slug on the other. Now, forget it." This was cut to just forget it. What are your thoughts about the line being cut?
Yeah, I'd say that line. I agree with Patrick. That line actually is pretty good. Like, it does suck it got cut. I could see the point though. Like, maybe it was because like a suit didn't like it, or maybe it was too long or something weird like that.
It might have been delivered in such a way as to feel nihilistic, too.
Oh yeah, I could see that too.
That could be read any number of ways
Right.
to get any number of objectionable responses.
Right. Sure.
Even though, I mean, that really has a lot of weight.
It does, and it's not inconsistent with Flint's pontifications in other areas either. He does
or president's analyst,
right?
Because I could see that being said by that doctor.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, too, there's some dialogue in this movie that when he first meets the one girl, the blonde-headed girl, and he kisses her. He says, "Now that we've got that out the way, the tension out the way," and I do think it's like, well, that's typical Flint. Like, you know what I mean?
It is, because he kisses practically every woman that he contact with, or hugs her, or does something affectionate. Definitely.
Friday Afternoons of Passion with Selma Diamond.
Oh yeah.
What's some of you guys' favorite scenes from this movie? Patrick, you go first.
Of this movie?
This one.
I would say the stuff involving the president and the actor are amusing. They're funnier after the Reagan administration.
Yes.
And lines like an actor for president and things like that, which are funny and yet hurtful. I mean, I remember that era before Reagan was in office and hearing that stuff, and I'm getting a little offended by it. I would say, those are some of the big ones. Oh, and of course, Lee J. Cobb and Drag.
Yeah.
Had a profound effect on me. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely.
Daniel, what's some of your favorite scenes?
Well, one scene I liked, and this might seem kind of odd, but I like the scene with the eye where you actually see the the light on the eye. That was pretty cool. And I like the space scene too.
Yeah. I liked Yvonne Craig's digs that looked like the Russian tea room had exploded. That was awesome. That was, in terms of that. I mean, scene-wise, I would agree. The president's scenes, especially the last ones, because he finally starts to crack at the end.
Yeah.
And becomes Sebastian and starts spouting Hamlet and various other things. And I thought that was quite fun. So, But yeah, the Russian tea room explosion is also one of my favorite segments.
The choreography in this one, I feel, is really well done, considering they did it a little differently because you're in this room. Flint's in a military uniform, and he has to battle a bunch of dudes. I really like the choreography in this one. Obviously, Lee J. Cobb address is just hilarious. It's funny as fuck.
He's shaving for everyone, and he's Zofteg at the same
time. What builds it too is him shaving the fucking beard. Like he put some thought into this.
Oh yeah,
this is just not spur of the moment.
He's a pro.
That's why we're thinking there's some issues going.
It makes me think Lee J. Cobb's character has dressed like a woman many times before.
Well, that's, Joel, I remember there's a copy of my favorite comic book ever, which is Lois Lane. I'm a big Lois Lane fan. And there's this one issue of Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, where Lois accidentally takes some of Jimmy's elongation formula, because Jimmy is elongated lad. We forget that.
That's right.
And so she gains these powers for 24 hours or something. And she goes to Jimmy and she says, Jimmy, I need something to wear. Because, Reed Richards is out. So she didn't have that opportunity that, will accommodate me as I stretch. And Jimmy says, I have just the thing. And you see him go to his closet and reach for something. The next thing you know, she's in a costume like his, but it says Elastic Lass. So did he have this lying around?
Yes, apparently so. Been indulging in some fantasies about Lois.
Yes. He was all too ready for that.
This elongation accident was no accident.
Oh my god. Oh my god. And all the cool spy equipment we get to see in this movie from the villains too.
All the sound thing is great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that is it was a tad different. And hey, the little hypnotic watch that yeah. I mean, it was really cool. For two spoof movies, you have a lot of cool stuff going on. It has a perfect blend of action and comedy, and it delivers.
20th Century Fox had a hell of a props department.
Yeah.
And one of the places where you will see that, Jewel saying, is in the War of the Worlds. Yeah. And just the design. I mean,
yeah,
between the Arab Bride of Frankenstein and Ron Cobb in the 70s, you have you have the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You have about 40 years. And in that time, there was a guy named Hua Chang. And I would be amazed if Hua Chang didn't have something to do with this. And there weren't a lot of work, even in the technical field, for Asians in Hollywood for a long time.
It's true.
But Hua designed, I think, the Romulan ship. He designed the original communicator. He had a lot to do with the time machine. The time machine from director of from director of War of the Worlds. George Powell. And that all came from, I believe, 20th Century Fox. They, I think, just really supported the hell out of this design department. And whether or not they did this, I'm sure the people who did it knew those guys at the very least.
So it could have sprung from their origins, even if it wasn't them. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very fertile area for a specific type of design that wasn't being done anywhere else.
And not so much in this film, but also the art of matte painting was really at its height during that period of time too. I mean, just incredible stuff. I mean, it continued into the 70s and 80s for certain films, but oh my God.
Albert Whitlock.
Stuff. Yeah. Stuff.
I give this movie a 9 out of 10. What do you guys give it?
For its genre, I'll give it an 8. It's not as good as the first one. It's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable. I would definitely own it in a 2-for-1,
Yeah.
DVD package, because they're both very much fun. But the first one is definitely a bit slicker, I think. But this one is it's like it is fun, and it gives Lee J. Cobb a lot more to do, a lot more fun to have. So
Yeah. Patrick, what do you give it?
I'm 8. Sure. Why not? Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. Daniel?
Oh, mine's different. I just thought this was okay, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
There you go. Yeah, this is a really fun movie. I have no more questions asked, guys. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
Well, what would you like to talk about next and when?
Well, I don't know what's going on for Saturday. I don't know if we're doing My Darling Clementine. I know Butch wanted to do it Friday, but I can't do it Friday. So I don't know what's going on Saturday. I'll have to message him and see what we're doing. But if we could do if Saturday is available, we'll do My Darling Clementine, which is a great western. One of my favorite Henry Fonda films, where he plays Wyatt Earp. But yeah, link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day book about is going to be in the description box. Link to Alec Glant's YouTube channel, College Sport After Dark, is going to be in the description box. Link to Daniel Culver's YouTube channel, Killenberg, is going to be in the description box. Have a nice night. Be safe.
All right.
Me too.
Bye.